owning a Tesla in KL for the first time. Sorry, too excited. Oh my goodness. Again, to prove that this is really KL, look at the streets.
Yeah,
Look at this here. You do not...
Show them the map there.
You can see the map here. Today, we'll talk about what the future holds for EVs in Malaysia. I have here with me Farhan, who is a EV enthusiast and also a member of the Malaysia EV Owners Club.
Yeah.
So, welcome back to Investing in Daren. Click subscribe to stay updated to more interviews like this. Farhan, what should the audience know about you?
Okay. First and foremost, thank you very much, Daren, for giving me this opportunity. I'm Farhan from Malaysia. I've been driving EVs, I think, close to 18 months. I'm an engineer by training. I'm a tech geek actually. So anything to do with technology, being the first guy, has always been the space where I would want to be. So hence EV has always something close to my heart.
You sound like the prime audience for a Tesla.
Yeah, indeed it is. The interactions with Tesla starts way back 2017. I went for an exhibition. No, actually it's not an exhibition. It's actually a conference by my company, and one of the exhibitors, which was known as Malaysian Green Tech Corporation back then, MGTC, actually has a booth. And in front of the hotel was two Model S back then in 2017. And that's where I met the founding members of Malaysian EV Club by the name of Zurail. So that is my affiliation towards EV and how it all started.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so, from that first moment, I don't know whether you call it love at first sight or not, in 2017, what happened since then, and how did that journey eventually lead you to become an EV owner?
Okay. So, the funny thing is about it is 2017 when I met Zurail, I've actually known Zurail way back, I think 2014. We were into mountain biking. So then I lost contact with him, and only in that exhibition I met with Zurail, who was working with MGTC. So he took me to a test drive. So I was sitting at the back seat, and the experience in just the 10 minutes actually blows me away. I said I must get this car. So just right after the test drive, I was looking for how can I actually own this Model S. But back then, the scheme that was offered by MGTC is not something that is affordable or something that is feasible to the normal Malaysian. It was more of a grant that was given to a very specific parts of the governments or people within the Malaysian government. Hence, it's not something that is reachable to the normal Malaysian. And then it dies off. 2017, 2018, and in 2019, 2018, XC90, the T8 model was launched in Malaysia. So that was the closest experience to a Tesla Model S in terms of acceleration. So then I decided to actually own that XC90.
So that was your first EV?
That was my first PHEV.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was my first PHEV. Then from then on, in 2020, during the Malaysia the movement control order, COVID, suddenly I met Zurail again. He was helping me set up my wall box charger, and he came to my house in a white small car, the Renault Zoe, the first model. So I was saying that then I asked Zurail, what car is that? And said this is Renault Zoe. It has about 22 kilowatts. You can go to 120 to 180 kilometers. And since he knows that I am an EV enthusiast, he said, why don't you try and own this? So I think the rest was history. I went and searched for what Renault Zoe is all about, and I own a Renault Zoe for about 3 months before I put an order to the Model 3 long range.
Tell us a bit more about ordering that Model 3 long range, because you had the Renault Zoe, you were driving it for 3 months.
Yeah.
What made you say, okay, I need this Model 3
Okay.
now?
Well, when I owned that Zoe, then I start to experience what driving an EV was all about. Driving an EV in a country that does not really support have a very good support system in terms of the infrastructure, especially the charging infrastructure. So having a range of 120 to 150 kilometers if I go hypermiling really stressed me out. But I did a 200 plus kilometer in my first drive, trying to go to meet up for a My Evoke event somewhere at the north of Selangor back then. So coming back of that journey, I was thinking in the car, how can I get hold of my Model 3? Then I remember that I have a friend, a school friend, who is actually a grey importer. So I contacted him. His name is Raja Petra. Anyway, for Malaysian, if you want to find a very good dealer, you can consider Raja Petra from Vision. So I called him, say that, Petra, can you help me to actually, if I want to purchase Model 3? He said, well, I can do that for you. I can import a brand new Model 3 from the UK.
Wow.
So I said, what do I need to do? He said, well, you just need to pay a booking fee and everything will be taken care. So 21st December 2020, the car was delivered to me.
And how do you feel the first day you got the car?
The first day I got the car, okay, I think because Petra is my schoolmate, so he delivers the experience of what an EV driver should experience. So he sent the car in a bonded truck similar to how Porsche Taycan was delivered.
Wow.
Okay. The day that when the car was delivered, I did a small gathering at my house. I called my parents and my siblings, and I was showing them, look, I just giving them an example. This is actually not a car. It is actually a handphone with 4 tires. And they were laughing, and when I give them the experience, and everyone starts to believe that yes, this is not a car. From then on, actually the first 2 weeks, I drove about 4,500 kilometers with the car.
Wow.
In the first 14 days. I think I've shared this in one of the FB Live on how I went through 4,500 kilometers within the first 14 days. And one of the experience that I had is, it is real that you will not feel tired when you drive an EV. And I can testify that because when I was driving my PHEV, I will still easily get tired when I drive my PHEV. I think it's got to do with something with the less vibration and with all the systems and controls that Tesla Model 3 has actually helped me go through that 4,500 kilometers in just 14 days.
As an engineer,
Yeah.
what is it about a Tesla that appeals to you?
Okay, what is the simplicity and the technology itself? Within the last 1 year, I've received, I think, about 11 updates to the car. That blows my mind. The latest update on Christmas,
Holiday update.
right? The one that allows the Model 3 to actually perform light show really blows everyone in my neighborhood. They were coming to my house asking what is happening to the car. Is the car being possessed or what? because of the light show. But you see, when I received the car 1 year ago, and the experience I had with the latest update, it's really like about having a new car. How many times you buy a car, a similar car, but every time you enter it, you feel it like it looks like a new car, and you can only experience it with an EV, and to be specific, with Tesla.
It's quite a magical experience.
Yeah.
You are one of the early pioneers of EVs in Malaysia. I believe right now there are about 10.5 million cars in Malaysia, about 500 EVs, and less than 70 Teslas.
Yeah.
So in many countries, whether it's in Singapore or Malaysia, there are a lot of challenges being an early pioneer. Can you talk to us about that challenge?
Yeah. I think that challenges resulted in the selection of Model 3 long range actually. So when I was driving that Zoe that has about 120 kilometers of range, the range anxiety is really high. And then when I look through the various types of EV that I can request for great importers to bring in, looking at all the pros and cons, finally I've resorted into Model 3 long range. Hence, the infrastructure is really a big challenge. But with the right selection as an early pioneers, I did not feel that. Hence, I was able to do that first 4,500 kilometers within the 14 days because of the range that the car has. But if you look at the other owners of EV, for example, the person that is driving a Zoe, we have a Zoe that has about 100,000 over mileage over the last 7 years. It has been driven from Langkawi to down to Johor Bahru and go back to Langkawi. But that car has to actually take about more than 12 hours in order to complete that journey because of the time that they need to spend to actually charge back the car. And this is really a big challenge. And this challenge, however, I think recently, I think over the last 4 months, we can see some light with this challenge, handling these challenges, because there are CPO or charge point operators that starts to come in and actually starts to install a few fast charging across the network. That helps a lot, and it improves the situation, and we can see more collaboration happening and being announced.
Got it.
So hopefully within the 2020, I think we would see more than 20 fast chargers across the North-South Highway, and probably a few within the East Coast Malaysia, where you have all the beautiful beaches of Malaysia.
So biggest pain point I'm hearing is just the lack of public chargers, the range of certain EVs as well.
Yeah.
The range of your current EV, the Model 3 long range, what's your practical experience in?
The practical experience is, on average, if I drive about 110 kilometers per hour to be safe with the speed traps, I have tested it. I can safely arrive. I can safely get about 400 to 450 kilometers, depending on the terrains.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's pretty decent.
Yeah, it's pretty decent. So for me, someone who works in an oil and gas, between my base location to all my outstation, I can reach all my outstation location in just one charge.
That's amazing.
Yeah. But it will be a challenge if you are not driving a Model 3 long range.
True.
Yeah.
By the way, the new Tesla Roadster has 1,000 kilometers.
Crazy.
So okay, I don't know how they make that happen, but that's almost like science fiction. So those early challenges, you see them getting a bit better right now. As a driver, one of the big news for many Malaysians now is the government just passed legislation. No more taxes for EVs for the next few years.
Yes.
What's the implication to drivers like yourself, friends and family?
Well, implications like me, obviously I'm very I'm so jealous with the new buyers, because they got to pay like maybe 50 to 60,000 cheaper.
Wow.
To what I paid the Tesla over the last 1 year. But one thing for sure, they cannot beat me in terms of being the first guy who actually registered a Model 3 long range. So that particular things, I will always be the first one. But obviously it's a good incentive, it's a great incentive, and I've been actually promoting to my friends, if you want to do something crazy in year 2020, and if you want to walk the talk saying that you want to do something with regard to sustainability, why don't you consider changing from your ICE to an EV? Because that's a straight testimonial about how serious we are about helping the country and about helping the world fight in terms of managing things with regard to the climate change. It's a straight reduction of your tailpipe emission. I know there's a lot of predicaments or debate about the long tailpipe emission, but we have other avenues for us to discuss about that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And saving the earth, going green can be pretty cool as well. One of your very first crazy moments that happened when you first got your Tesla was the Tesla was swimming. Tell us more about the experience.
Okay. I think in the second week, I went back to my mother-in-law's place at Kuantan, the east coast of Malaysia, and I still remember. I think it was 3rd of January. Due to the lack of infrastructure, I have to actually borrow one of the EV owners' mobile charger when I arrived at Kuantan. So on the 3rd of January, while I was preparing to go back to KL, so on the way, I've decided to actually go to his house to return that chargers. And I experienced flash flood. The water depth was about the height of the tire. It was about 200 meters, and the Tesla went swimming, and everything is okay. And the Tesla now clocks 28,000 kilometers already. And people say that you will have trouble. What about electrocution? Well, I'm still alive today, and the car has clocked 28,000. It is safe to go through flood water, but as an EV owner, as much as possible, please avoid it.
Right. That's a pretty crazy experience. Okay, I don't think your car has got IP67 rating like your iPhone, so try to avoid water if you can. But that's crazy. Clearly a crazy experience. And is this possible with EVs because they don't have an engine air intake?
Well, I think if you look in terms of the design, yes, one of it is because it doesn't have the air intake. Number two is because of this. I think all the motors are properly sealed.
Yeah.
The sealing is better, and I think there's a lot of videos that has been shared by the owners going through even a higher or crazier levels of water. But like I said, if you can avoid it, please avoid it, because
Agreed.
it's not designed to go through flood waters. Yeah.
You didn't buy a submarine, even
Yeah.
though crazily there's this Volvo China video where they showcase that their Volvo EV
Yeah.
SUV going through from totally submerged and
Yeah.
just driving up a ramp.
Yeah. Well, I think it's possible.
Yeah.
By design, it's properly sealed. I don't recall what's the IP rating, but I
Yes.
think it's IP6 at least. But either it's IP67 or 65. Like I said, but something that we can check later. But I think based on my experience, it's doable. People are jokingly saying, asking me, has the bumper fall off from your car? It's still intact.
Okay.
And well, you can go through flood waters. That's my experience.
Or just watch videos. Yeah. Experience it through others.
Yeah.
Yeah. One common thing that we hear about EVs is less moving parts, so lower maintenance costs. You don't use your brakes as much because of regenerative brakings. But then some people say, would other parts like the tires wear faster because your instant acceleration? So as a driver, as an engineer, is it true or a myth that it's just so much easier to maintain an EV?
Yes, I can vouch for this. It's easier so much for you to maintain. There's so much less worries that you need to put on an EV. People ask me how much you have spent on maintenance for the last 1 year. The most that I've done is top up my wiper fluid. After 28,000, that's the only thing that I've done to the car. The next one would be, I think if I look at my tires, probably it will last at least another 15 to 20,000 kilometers before I need to change it. The brakes, based on physical inspection, based on the way I drive, I think it can last for the next 10 years.
Wow. Basically a lifetime of a car.
Yeah. So, because besides the battery itself, for a country like Malaysia, just want to help maybe some of my friends who is still contemplating about maintenance and whether you can have good support in Malaysia or not. Besides the battery, the rest can be done in Malaysia. So the only things that we need to worry is about what happens if something goes wrong with the battery. But with that, the great importance is giving us at least one warranty claim shipment back to the countries of origin, so that we can claim for the battery if it's really required. The rest can be done in Malaysia.
Okay. So there is a little bit more peace of mind, and again, there are pioneers like Farhan who's really experienced this for now multiple years because you drove three EVs, different brands.
Yeah, three different brands.
Yeah.
Yeah, before I forgot, I want to spend a little bit about the fuel savings that I have.
Okay.
Because I have a PHEV
Uh-huh.
and I also drive an EV. So in comparison with that two EV, I did a calculation and I actually shared in the public chats of my Evoque, showing what saving that I've got with that 28,000. So equivalent to the mileage that the Tesla has gone through, I've compared to the amount of electricity bills that I have to pay. In comparison, how much I got to fuel up, I've saved about 67% of my fuel cost, and that's a lot of money. And as of today, actually, the RON 97 in Malaysia has gone up another 3 cents, I think, and it will just continues to go up. and the electricity rate is also going up, but the rate of it's going up is not as fast as the fuel price. So that's another reason why you should consider an EV.
So there are a lot of good reasons, and also a lot of European manufacturers, especially, they're phasing out their ICE models. They're going to EV versions, even permanently, because of the transition in Europe and many parts of the world. What else needs to happen in Malaysia for EV adoption to accelerate?
Well, we know that the tax incentive is here. We know the infrastructure has started to come in because of the tax incentive. But one thing for sure, I think, if anything got to happen, is about making the EV more affordable. And bringing in models that are affordable requires some form of direct involvement from the government, not just from the perspective of tax incentive. For us to convince other investors to come and invest in Malaysia, that's the only way for us to make an affordable EV. And I think we know the answer. Probably some of us would point to some of the directions where the national automotive policy needs to look at in terms of making cars more affordable, and hence EV should be one of them.
Yes, there are many great EVs, like Tesla are great EVs, but they're currently in the premium segment. The most popular cars in Malaysia, they tend to be around the 60,000 ringgit price range.
60,000 and maybe up to 90,000, where you've got the Honda and the Toyota, Honda City and Toyota Vios range. So that.
What's the best EV that's available in Malaysia now that's below 100,000 ringgit? Are there viable options?
None. There are one, which is the second-hand or a used Zoe.
I see. The range is an issue.
Yeah, but the range is an issue. And I think if you want to get a trade-off between range and price, something that is below 100,000 for a new model, currently we don't have it.
Got it.
Yeah.
So it sounds like just like how when smartphones, mobile phones first came out, the transition happened first with the early adopters in premium segment. Then as there's scale in infrastructure, manufacturing, demand, it goes to the mass market.
Yes. And the way I see it, it will take longer time for us to see that transition happens in passengers car. One of the things that could happen to expedite the infrastructure building is also introducing EVs to the public transport, in which I think it's slowly happening. For example, in KL now, we've got the Go KL buses. Some of them have been converted into an EV bus. Probably you can try. I think it's roaming around this area.
Okay.
Yeah. There's quite a few of them that has been converted to an EV bus.
And that's great exposure for the public who've never rode the EV before, like just to not just see that it's cleaner, but I think for most normal people, it's like the first thing you'll notice is, wow, so quiet.
Yeah. I wish Tesla can be quieter. But that serenity and that moment when you drive a Tesla where it's so quiet really give you some form of peace. Hence, I think the reason why every time I drive the car, I'm excited about driving the car.
And I do hear that the refreshed Model S and X does have better noise isolation.
Yeah, I something if I can get hold of them. They said that they've got this active noise cancellation function. That's even crazier.
Got to try out one day.
Yeah.
Farhan, for those of us who are thinking about EVs but we are scared because we've never tried it before, what options are there available?
Okay, Daren, speaking about experience, well, the easiest if you got an opportunity to know me better, I can take you for a ride.
Wow.
Okay, but the next closest option is for you to go on a rental. For example, if you happens to be in KL, you can actually search for Nissan Leaf and experience what an EV driving looks like. I think there are a few people who has been sharing their experience when they actually ran that Nissan Leaf in terms of the convenience. How does it feel when what is range anxiety all about? I think everyone got to experience that range anxiety. Even myself, when I drove that Tesla Model 3 long range, I think the first 2 or 3 days I still have that range anxiety. Even I know that I can go to 450, The moment I see it goes to drop to 50%, I start to think, where can I charge the car next? And for you to experience right now in Malaysia, you have an opportunity to rent a car. The next option for you to rent a car, we've got also the company by the name of Comos, who is actually renting up Zoe, but they are renting it more of a long term. I think you can rent it on a weekly basis. That is another good opportunity for you to get to know about driving experience of an EV. And the last part of it, when you get to know me, is for you to join my Evoke. As you know more and more EV owners, some of them will actually take you for a ride, and you can really experience what it takes for you to actually own an EV. What does it mean as planning the journey? What does it mean in terms of having the convenience of having that 15 minutes break means to you? Whether the myth of do you really need that 5-minute charging or not?
Yes.
When you speak to an EV enthusiast, the way they speak, the way they plan their journey is totally different from the ICE only.
Okay, so it sounds like there's a lot of benefits joining the Malaysia EV Owners Club, My Evoke. And I'll put a link down in the description below. Farhan, do we need to own an EV in order to join a club?
No, it's just you just need to have the passion and wanting to know about the technology. We've got a lot. I think we've got probably in the registered members, I think there's about 200 plus registered members, and I think probably maybe 30 to 40% only of them own an EV, which include a PHEV.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so opportunity for you to join a community to get to know a lot more about the nuts and bolts of an education about an EV, make you more comfortable, more familiar with it, and some drivers who are not very tech savvy, they'll say, when they first own a Tesla, it feels like the point of driving a computer, so they get a bit of anxiety, like I use iPhone because I don't want to deal with so much IT, right? Now suddenly this car has so much technology, so I think these kind of forums help to reduce the concern.
Yes. Let me tell you, if you are familiar with iPhone, you will find driving an EV easier than middling around an iPhone.
I see. That's very reassuring. I'm planning to get a Model Y next year, or end of this year, so looking forward to sharing the experience with you as well.
Yeah, so that's great to know that you are getting a Model Y. I'm thinking of switching to Model Y, but probably maybe a 3 and Y fits together.
It's a nice combination. Yeah, I like that. Farhan, thank you for sharing your experience as a EV owner in Malaysia. One last thing is there any final tip you'd have for Malaysian drivers who are considering an EV? Should they go ahead and get now or wait a few years later when the infrastructure is better?
If you ask me, my honest opinion, with the incentive, the tax incentive given by the government, which will only last for 2 years, so it's 2020 up to 2023, go and get that EV. Because with this tax incentive, we will see the infrastructure starts to build up, and that is what the OEM is expecting. And we have seen collaboration being announced by BMW, for example, collaboration announced by Porsche, collaboration announced by Mercedes-Benz with Petronas, with the national oil company, for example, about building up infrastructure. So the infrastructure will come. Hence, the question is, what are you guys waiting for? We've got a lot of models queuing up, I think. The next one that is officially going to be launched, I think, somewhere in quarter 2 this year would be the Mercedes EQC, if I got my dates right. Well, that's exciting to see Mercedes-Benz really now, because I think they have brought in that model in 2019 to Malaysia in one of the show, in one of the auto industry show, but somehow that time Malaysia is not ready. But this year Malaysia is ready. Tax incentive is there. It's 0, 0, 0, 0 import duty, 0 excise duty, and I think 0 road tax. I'm not sure about the SST, whether it's 0, but hey, that 3 zeros is a lot of money, and a lot of money if you don't take the opportunity. I wish I could have waited 1 more year before I made that purchase, but actually I did not regret buying that Tesla earlier.
It's quite a magical experience, and I love the story that you shared earlier. Also, with all these incentives now, Tesla is now officially in one country in Southeast Asia, Singapore. And the next country to come to me, it's a toss-up between Thailand, the biggest auto market in the region with large manufacturing base, and Malaysia, which is Singapore's neighbor.
Yeah.
What's the case for Malaysia?
What's the case for Malaysia? Come, bring that superchargers. Because we need to ensure that the Singaporeans who own a Tesla would be able to actually at least go through Malaysia and arrive safely in Thailand. And with that, I believe Tesla should actually consider Malaysia as one of the countries to expand. Not to forget all the other exciting model that is coming. I'm actually curious to see how does an Ioniq as well as the Kia EV6.
Yes.
And I think Singapore is blessed and to have that model earlier than us.
Yes, and also Hyundai is building a small EV plant in Jurong. It should be done by end of this year. So it's the first time that car manufacturing is coming back to Singapore after the 1980s. It's a really long time.
Yeah. And hopefully our Hyundai will come from Singapore to make it cheaper.
Yes. Love the stories, love the experience, Farhan. Thank you for sharing so much. We've learned so much about just being an EV pioneer in Malaysia, being a Tesla owner, and also the road ahead in this country. If you found this interview insightful, please click the like button. Hit subscribe to stay updated to more interviews like this. I'll put a link down to Farhan's Facebook, Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can find his videos as well, learn more about him.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, Daren, for giving me that opportunity, and hope to see you guys more of EV enthusiasts, and hopefully you guys can benefit from this short chat that we had.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Take care, everyone.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Riding a Tesla in Malaysia.
Yeah.
Very, very excited. So again, thank you so much, Farhan, for the opportunity. But I'm curious, do you actually see other Teslas on the road when you drive?
Okay, to tell you the truth, over the last 1 year, besides my friend Yin in JB, I've not met any other drivers on the road.
Okay. Not yet.
Yeah, not yet. Funny, right? Because, for example, our president of the My Evoque, he also drive a Model S. I've yet to drive together with him. Because of the MCO.
So,
yeah.
Hopefully road trip coming out soon one day. Really, when the borders reopen, there are more than 1,000 Teslas in Singapore now. Many of them are ready to come to Malaysia.
And don't worry, in KL you have 20 chargers in Suria KLCC. All of them are 22 kilowatt AC. I know your Model 3 can only pull 11 kilowatt, but it's a good destination chargers. By the time you finish your lunch or your movies, your car will be 100% charged. And
what's your tip for Singapore drivers who are driving to KL? Any good makan areas along the way up here?
There's a lot of good makan areas in KLCC, or even throughout your journey to KL from JB, and then you can stop over in Malacca, and then you can drive straight away to Negeri Sembilan. If you like spicy food, there's a lot of spicy food in Negeri Sembilan. Then you can come to KL. In Suria KLCC itself, I think there's more than 100 restaurants there. So obviously there's a lot of good food. So not to worry.
And all of you who are driving Teslas, you got pretty good range on your cars. Here, this is a Model 3 long range. So it's got an effective range of about 450 kilometers on a single charge. For the long range, are they LFP? Like, can you charge 100%?
This is the Panasonic battery.
Okay.
So for daily trips, it's not advisable for you to charge to 100%. But for a long trip, yes, you can charge it up to 100%. And the advice is to use it immediately when you reach 100%, just to protect your battery. But I think over the last 1 year, my battery is 72 kilowatt. I've got an effective capacity at 69 kilowatt now.
Does anyone use full self-driving in Malaysia? Any experience?
I know a few Model S and Model X owner have got FSD subscribed, but it doesn't work. But you can use the enhanced autopilot, where you can have lane change on navigation.
Elon, bring FSD beta to the rest of the world, please. So I'm gonna make a U-turn. So that's the Suria to prove this is KL. look at this building, it's amazing. Managed to go to the rooftop observation, it was really beautiful. Even if it's on a cloudy day. Thank you again a billion times for giving this Tesla fan the ride of his life. Short and amazing Tesla ride in KL. Super happy. Will not forget this day. Today is 6th January 2022. First Tesla ride in Malaysia. Looking forward to seeing a lot more Teslas here.